if you watch any news, you probably have seen the headlines about the Delphi case. And, you know, we covered when Richard Allen was arrested, and we were like, yay, you know, like, finally a suspect. I mean, I wasn't involved in all, like, the sleuthing and all the conspiracies and stuff involved in the, 5 years of this case. I really just became aware of it about a year ago, and then when we started the podcast, like, I decided to cover it once he was arrested, and I wanted to kind of go back and see, kind of the history of the case. Well, I have been convinced it was Richard this whole time. Mm-hmm. I mean, based off of the evidence that it seemed solid. Now, the defense filed a motion. They want the search warrant thrown out. They claim that the state withheld key information, like basically lied.
Okay.
In their search warrant. And they are claiming that, and this is a part of the 8 things to know in the memorandum that was attached to that motion, and it claims members of a pagan Norse religion called Odinism hijacked by white nationalists ritualistically sacrificed Abby and Libby.
Yeah.
So...
it's wild.
There's been a ton of stuff coming out and people talking about this. You have people saying, I don't buy it at all. This is BS. And then you have people saying, like, the lawyer, he's like, a lot of people are saying basically this is an internet conspiracy theory that has been circulating since very early in the case. And that is true. There were rumors about this very early in the case, about the sticks on the bodies and the blood on the tree. So basically people are saying that the defense picked up this conspiracy theory and they ran with it, and it's nonsense. But then you have people like the lawyer saying, well, if that's true, how do they have this much evidence? Because there's a lot of evidence in this backing up what they're saying. And then, like, a creator, Gray Hughes, was like, this is like, he basically insinuated this document is like written like high school drama, like almost like inappropriate, like it's drama filled. I guess there is some contempt in here, okay? I guess there's some negative vibes, but honestly, if I was the defense, and this is part of the claims, if I was going in to see my client in jail and the guards are wearing these patches that say, "In Odin we trust," and "I hate everyone," or whatever, pictures, and they are always in earshot of my client and seem like and my client is asking, is my wife okay? Like, and making these, like, is fearful of their life of these guards, and these guards are sitting outside recording him, making sure he's positioned so they can see his lips through the window, and recording him with a camera. And I know all of this, and I see the lies in the affidavit, and I see the evidence for myself, and I have literal investigators, a retired investigator who gives me evidence that says he was working on this case and believed it was this from the beginning, that it was a ritualistic sacrifice, and that there's this evidence. I would probably be salty about it too if I felt like the prosecution was trying to hide it. Because that's essentially what they're saying. The prosecution did not, the investigators and the prosecution did not let the evidence lead.
I just have some issues with it still.
I have issues with it too. I'm not going to lie. I have looked into it pretty extensively. I have watched here. I want to shout out this channel because, he had some kind of expert. I'm sorry, I can't even remember right now. It's Chris, the Mob Crew, and Steve from TrueCrime Web. He enhanced the blood splatter of the F that they're claiming was on the tree at the crime scene, okay? And he says you can see these satellites, because, like, the original's super blurry.
Yeah.
He enhanced it with an AI filter, Chris did, and you can see these satellites of the blood splatter, but these other ones he says you can see satellites too. I see less. I see some of them that look like splatter, and I see some of them that don't, which is weird. Like, they don't look like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw people suggesting it could be arterial spray from when their necks were cut, and there was also blood at the base of the tree. So there's this supposed F, and then there is also blood at the base.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried and tried, okay? So basically the allegations are that they were sacrificed and that some of their evidence, okay, that's been in the media a lot, which I would like to dig into this more on live stream, into the memorandum, because I've been reading it and highlighting things that I think are important. That the crime, this is the first time we're hearing about the crime scene like in an official document.
Yeah.
The police would not talk about the way they were found. They wouldn't say anything, which honestly makes me believe it a little bit more, because it's weird that they would never talk about it at all. They just talked about clothes being found in the river, so we knew that one of the victims at least was probably naked or both.
Yep.
So
the sticks are
naked.
interesting. Like, don't get me wrong. There's interesting parts to this. I'm not saying that it's some crazy, wild, just in outer space conspiracy type theory. I don't think that. But I think there are also elements that don't fit.
No, there are elements I think that don't fit.
Like they were white. And white skinheads and nationalists aren't going to sacrifice or end other white people.
No, so there's apparently what they're saying is that there's somebody in one of the girls' families that was race mixing. Is what they're saying.
That's a stretch.
It is a stretch. It is a stretch in my opinion,
because if you're a white nationalist, that is the most important thing to you, unfortunately. And you wouldn't end someone of your own race.
Yeah, but shout out to the mob crew for the blood splatter video. You guys did a really good job. It helped me understand it better. He even went through and like did different ways of like trying to recreate it. It was interesting. I enjoyed it. But also I have from Pat Brown, her YouTube channel, she showed so she received these, and these are supposed to be more accurate to and they're not placed over the body. Okay?
So which ones are true?
So these are the ones from Court TV. Court TV, okay, read the memorandum and had people in their office recreate what the document was describing.
Okay.
Now, these are supposedly from police. Like, somehow obtained from somebody who actually was there and saw it. I don't know. I don't understand. But this is supposedly what they actually looked like. Is like this. And you also have the antlers on Abby, okay?
Yeah.
I don't get it. People are saying that Libby's arm being up's like a Heil Hitler, though. So I tried looking into runes and trying to figure out what the heck any of this meant. I can't find an asterisk rune. I did find one, but there's no meaning behind it because it's not a part of the current alphabet. So it doesn't make sense to me. This, I don't know what the heck that could be. These don't look like runes I can find online, and the ones that kind of sort of resemble it, like, you have to have some kind of secret knowledge, maybe, that maybe doesn't exist, okay? Just being real. Like, I don't know what kind of runes they're alleging these are. The F, yes. The F does mean something in Norse mythology. And here, where is it? So, the F, where is it? F. It's foe. It means cattle. Attracts wealth and the good things in life to the wearer, but includes a responsibility. Also represents the fulfillment of ambitions and love. And everything I find on this, I feel like are a little bit different. So, okay, wealth fulfillment in this one. I guess that's telling you when to use it. But these, I think this is 24 of the runes. Do you see one that looks like it?
No, not really.
There's no asterisk here. There's this, I guess, that looks like an X.
Unless there's two.
There's this that kind of looks like a Y, which I could kind of see.
A Z, yeah. Unless it's two letters, maybe? Like,
that's what I was thinking.
Added on top of each other?
That's what I was almost wondering. But then I found this, and this is on Wikipedia, so it might not mean anything, but it's called the Hegel rune, the asterisk. It doesn't give any specific feeling or meaning, really.
Yeah.
It says it's the 7 pseudo rune of Armin something of Guido von List, derived from the younger Fulken Hegel rune. What does that even mean?
I have no idea. I have no clue. But, so
what's the weight behind the branches being runes? Now, they're saying that they were cut with some kind of electrical saw because the ends are completely smooth, like they were cut by a tool.
Okay.
Weird.
That is strange. Okay. I'm more interested in the lawyer's statement saying that the prison guards have patches that say trust in Odin.
Yeah, I have
Is there
pictures.
any confirmation of that?
I have pictures of them. They're not on the police officers, but this is what they say it looks like. So, and the lawyers claim that they saw it and that they're for sale. Okay, so multiple occasions. Here are the patches worn by the guards. The images below of the patches worn by Sergeant Robinson and Jones were found on Etsy. These patches can be purchased off Etsy. And this is what they're claiming it looks like. In Odin we trust, with this flag and whatever this is. It says they also wore this.
I hate people?
Yep.
Okay.
So it says that the first time the defense team noticed Jones and Robinson wearing the patches was April 3rd on their DOC uniform. It also coincides with the time frame that Richard Allen's mental health began to decline quickly. And they were inseparable from Richard Allen at that time, is what they're saying. I can't make heads or tails of the runes, though, and I felt like if I could dig into it and really figure it out, like, what these runes could be and what they mean, like, I could figure it out. The only other thing I can think of is I did see somebody, on a forum once that I talked to for just a second, asking them a question that said they were an Odinist and that they sacrificed bunnies in the woods and painted runes with the blood. Like, I literally saw that on a forum once on Reddit, like on a subreddit. Yeah. And I commented and asked them a question. I don't even remember what it was. And this is a total coincidence. It had nothing to do with this. This was literally like a long time ago. But I wondered if I could, like, find them and ask them a question about it. Like, do you know, like, what kind of runes these could be? Because they claim they come from multi-generations of people who practice this.
Interesting. Okay.
And that their grandfather and great-grandfather practiced this, and that they're, like, literally from whatever, Vikings and stuff.
So, just out of curiosity, why does this make Richard Allen innocent? So, how do we know he's not involved? Because if I'm being honest,
we don't.
His head is shaved and he has a big old beard, which, coming from California and being in the punk rock scene, that's kind of classic skinhead-ish look.
Right.
You know?
Right. So, like,
I'm not jumping to say that's what it is if you are bald with a goatee, but many of those white nationalists do have that look.
You're right. They do. And they are alleging another guy, okay, that was Libby's boyfriend's father, I believe. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I don't want to dive deep into this. A lot of people, like, the media doesn't even want to mention his name to the public.
Yeah.
I only know his name because I have the memorandum.
Yeah.
But I'm just not even going to dig into it. But pictures of him, okay, look so similar to Richard Allen to me.
Really?
He has a bald head and a beard. And he wears a similar hat to what was seen from Bridge Guy.
Really?
Similar, like, big boy build, okay, to where and he posted things online that are super sketchy.
Huh.
Like, mega, 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 mega sketchy.
Really?
Like, literally a picture showing bodies like the way Libby and Abby's were found that wasn't public information right after the murders.
No way.
Yeah. And he practices this Nordic religion stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. Did
Yeah.
the lawyer talk about that?
He didn't want to dig into it, and he also didn't want to dig into, like, the graphic details of the way the bodies were found. I'm not doing that in this video because we're already going to do a live on this, and I would rather hear from people directly if they actually want me to talk about it or not, because get this memorandum was posted and literally in the next day or so after was removed.
Really?
Yeah. And there's a ton of pictures attached to this, but the pictures of the actual crime scene are obviously, like, sealed and we can't see them.
Sure.
But they cite a bunch of photos and other things. But yeah, I was able to snag the memorandum real quick, but yeah, it was removed.
That's interesting.
But yeah, they're claiming that the search warrant for Allen's property should be thrown out and that the discharged bullet, there are no pictures of it at the crime scene. There are no pictures of them finding it at the crime scene. Like, there's literally no pictures or evidence of them ever finding that bullet and inspecting it, which is not normal. Because there's pictures of everything else, and that the forensic evidence is shaky. When they decided, yeah, it's from his gun, like, however they do that testing, that it was shaky and not really reliable.
Interesting. Weird. Very, very, very strange.
Yeah, so basically with the they're saying with the pictures, you remember the things that were released? Gosh, right? The sketches.
Yep.
The suspect sketches that were released.
Yep. The two.
Yes. So there was the one released first, which was the older man.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's who everyone was looking for.
Yep.
Okay? And
With
then
the
2 years later, another one was released, and it looks nothing like the first one.
Right.
It looks like a young man with, like, bushy hair and everything. And that's once the FBI they removed themselves from the case. The first guy had a written affidavit with it from the FBI and was their suspect.
No way.
The second one, the FBI was gone, and that was the one that, like, the local police were looking into. So basically the police were split. They were having issues with two theories and they couldn't agree. There were investigators, which they are named in this memorandum, that were, like, really believing that it was this. And once Richard Allen was arrested and they read the affidavit, were like, whoa. Like, we feel like the evidence for the ritualistic killing has way more weight and evidence behind it than Richard Allen. So they literally have been, like, talking to the defense. These investigators. One's retired in Georgia, and they drove all the way down there. And he wrote a letter or something about it. So, this comes from Jennifer Coffindaffer, so I don't... Okay, she can still be a source of some information. Like, not everything she says is wrong.
Yeah.
She claims there's 6 other cases involving ODINIST that are, like, ritualistic killings.
Okay.
And one was a mass murder in Norway in 2011.
Okay.
And that, like, FBI has been and will compare, like, this to those other cases that we know of.
I wonder if we can look it up. Did you write that down in the notes?
Yes.
So we can kind of...
Yeah, I wanted to look it up.
Check it out.
So there's also this Chris Todd guy who wrote a book about the case. He's an investigative producer. He was on Court TV. And this Coffindaffer and him were in the same episode. And he said he had a bombshell. And that is... Remember the bridge guy video originally came out with no audio.
Yeah.
And then later the audio was added to it. Okay, after the fact. He believes the audio was spliced and that it's backwards. So he doesn't think it says guys down the hill. He thinks it says down the hill and then guys. And he said that is a different person. And he said, I can't tell you how I know that. People are going to be super mad at me for saying this at all. He said, but people need to know. And he believes it's 2 separate people involved in this case, that there are 2 killers, and he doesn't think it's Richard Allen. But he doesn't buy any of the ritual stuff. He thinks that's all, like, baloney. Which I thought was super interesting.
Yeah,
and he made it...
a whole nother theory.
It's a whole nother theory, and he clearly has connections to somebody who's telling him stuff. I don't know what it is. Weird. Oh, and the guard supposedly threatened Richard Allen to confess on the phone to his wife, or they were going to kill his wife and his family.
No way.
That's what the defense says.
What? Okay, my big issue is, why are they just coming out with this now?
Had to collect evidence.
And not before. Not when they had the admission and they came about it like, look, our defendant is crazy. He's eating paper. So, that what he said to his wife doesn't count. Why didn't they come out right then and be like, yo, he's being threatened, okay?
I think they had to build a case. Like, and they're not basing this off their own investigation. Do you realize that? Only the stuff with the guards. They're basing all of the ritualistic stuff off of those police officers, those investigators' findings.
So not FBI?
I don't know.
FBI.
I don't know about that.
So.
I don't think so. They name the police officers. Dude, this is a 136-page memorandum.
Yeah,
I'm not going to dig through it right now and find the names. But I want to read through it. I wanted to talk about it on the podcast because I feel like it's really insane. And I'm not sure exactly what to believe. I'm not sure that anybody knows what to believe.
No, I need to get a chart and start writing down my evidence and look at, like, statistics and theories and...
I know.
Because, geez, I thought for sure he was the guy, and then he admitted to his wife he was the guy, and, like, man... look, open, shut, case done. Like, that's it, And then all of a sudden... I don't think he had an attorney for a long time.
I don't remember. But this is a nugget, okay? This is something that we're going to follow up with. This is something that... Because, there's also the people they allege are guilty. And I would like to get into at least one of those because one of them really stands out to me a lot. And that's the guy I talked about with the Facebook post. And I will talk about it on live stream. I don't care if the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about it. It's in a memorandum that was released to the public. And this guy has been accused since almost the beginning. So it's not like this is new for him in his life. People were suspecting him. Internet sleuths were all over this case, accusing him of stuff. Because he was posting really weird stuff and taunting everybody.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
But so the defense attorneys say the falsified information was that the witnesses didn't match what appeared in the affidavit. A key witness described a vehicle that looked nothing like Allen's black Ford Focus. The same witness described a man who didn't resemble Allen. Her description involved a white male in his 20s with brown curly hair and a medium build, the subject of composite sketch number 2. So that's the problem, is that they used that witness for the affidavit, but didn't explain that is the second sketch that doesn't resemble Allen at all. Her testimony doesn't match it at all. Or her, whatever statement.
So it could have just been an eyewitness account of a different person from a different time of the day type situation. Might not have anything to do.
It might not have anything to do with it.
Related to the
But she claimed it was at this
murder.
time. She claimed it was at the time of the murder. She saw this man, and they used her as a witness in the affidavit, but withheld the fact that her statement doesn't match.
That's interesting, to say the least. That's interesting.
Yeah, because they use her time frame.
Because it benefited them for that half of her argument, but not for the other half. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Allen's timeline says he was from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the bridge.
Okay.
The investigator said 1:30 to 4 p.m., meaning Allen wouldn't have left. So according to the witness, reported seeing a different vehicle, not his Ford Focus, parked outside the CPS building around 2:15. Totally omitted from the affidavit. Like, there's a bunch of contradictory, possibly exculpatory evidence here, including a man in a tan-colored coat, not a blue jacket. Interesting.
It is.
And they just exclude all of it. They only give, like, they give the bare minimum that's relevant to Allen, in their opinion, to line him up for this murder, and they omit everything else.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and it's going to take some brain power of mine to start figuring out a theory. I got to be able to connect some dots, chew on this, look at it, intuit it.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm not 100% sure what I think yet. Did you want to bring up the thing you found?
We just have, I don't want to bring it up.
No, just mention it.
Yeah, we just have, so when this first came out, we started doing some digging into the local area, okay? Because my first thought is, hey, they're saying that there's a gang here. They're saying that there's a cult here. Then in order for that to be true, there has to be evidence of a gang there. There has to be evidence of a cult there. So I believed that the number one most important thing to look for was evidence of this group of people being there. That would tell me if they're there or not, right off the rip, And we found some pictures of some confirming locations and evidence that Odinism is there. And very serious, like including a lot of people. So, yeah.
That's all you're going to say?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, well, I guess we'll talk about it more later.
Yes.
But that concludes it. Come join the live stream. If you're here right now, joining the live stream in the future, thank you.
Yes, come check out the live stream
Let's
this
dig
Sunday
into this.
where we'll talk about it. And Monday, we'll be doing the Northwest Slasher. So
yeah, I really want to read through some of this and volley back and forth and see what we can come up with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.